Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be having a relatively quick video that I wanted to get out in a timely fashion. EU5's been out for a day and a half. I've been streaming it for a few days now, and I've been collecting some frequently asked questions, both here and on the helper section of the Discord, and so today we are going to be running through some of the most frequently asked questions. A lot of them relate to UI, and so we are just going to kind of bang them out in a row in a relatively quick fashion. And so let's get started with the most common asked question, which is, how do I get a key CB or casus belli? The most common way you're going to be getting a CB is going to be with your parliament. You're going to need to get 50% support, so we're going to do that, and then you're going to use this fabricate casus belli interaction. This is going to give you a CB. Alternatively, if you have a reason for a CB, such as having cores, you can build a spy network and then use that spy network to get a CB using this button, but it will only be available if you have a legitimate reason for it. So even though we see all these CBs in here, we don't have any of these actually available, so a spy network on Bohemia would not be effective, but a spy network on Tunis would be, because we would be able to use a religious war CB. Second one, how do you move your capital? Well, you come into the government panel here, and there's the move capital button. You click there, and then you click somewhere else. We don't fit the requirements because we don't have enough gold, and it is going to be relatively expensive. So, as a result, very often you'll maybe want to, if you are a monarchy, get onto the very strong itinerant court law. If you're on this, when your king or ruler dies, you will get the option to move your capital, not to the place of your choice. You'll get a few options. This is another way to move your capital. How do you create subjects? You come into the diplomacy panel, and then you click on make sure you're on relations, not actions, and then you click manage subject, and you are going to, or then you click create subject rather, and then you are going to have the option. You can just create a custom subject, select where you want to put them, it will select the entire province, and then you can make a subject there. Next up, how do we change succession law and or parliament law? So there is going to be the ability to change your succession law. This is how you change it. This is not a bit of fluff or just a frame. This is actually a button, and you can change your law. It will give you this huge stab/legitimacy hit. I can't remember which. Just kidding, it's both. And that will be how you change it. Also, you can change your parliament. There will be a button here when parliament is not in session that will allow you to change it. A lot of you guys will not have access to the burghers in your parliament. That's because you have the wrong parliament type. If you want to change to the one that allows for burghers, you need to have at least 20% burgher power to swap on over. Next up, how do you access the river map mode, the forbidden map mode? How do we get it? Well, this map mode can only be accessed if you assign it to a hotkey. It is not available to anywhere down here. It's not there. You cannot find it down here. Instead, you will have to go to settings, right? Go to input bindings. It's going to be pretty close to the bottom here, and then you are going to have to assign the river map mode if you want to gain access to it. Rivers are pretty useful. We have it assigned to G. I have an entire tutorial for the input bindings / what hotkeys I have. I will put it in the pinned comment. From there, you can also go to my Discord, where I will have a file for all my hotkeys that I have that I decided to use. Also, if you're doing it yourself, something to keep in mind is this is fiddly, so what you are going to want to do is you are going to want to save, set up your hotkeys, save the profile, and then you will want to save your game, and then exit to menu, and then exit game, and don't click cancel on the launcher or the UI for Steam if you want it to save properly, or this is how I got mine to save properly, but it is fiddly. Why can't my army move? I can't move my army around. What's going on? Okay, if you are in winter, which we are, and you are experiencing a winter, which we are, then what will happen is the locations that are mountains will not be traversable. If your army is stuck in a mountain when winter hits, you will not be able to move it. Also, some of you may experience a little bit of thing where there is a mechanic to prevent abuse from forts, preventing you from slingshotting your army through enemy forts. What will happen is if you enter enemy territory, and if you enter a fort, the only way you can exit, you cannot exit to circumvent the zone of control. You can only exit back through the province you came from unless there is friendly controlled territory. If you have friendly controlled territory that is subsequently occupied, like if we were to lose this fort, sometimes you can get trapped on the fort that you went into, in which case you can only move to the location that you came in from or back onto the fort. This is to prevent people from pair dropping troops by cheesing them to move onto the other side of the fort, and so it's a preventative measure, but sometimes it traps you on the fort, and that is what is going on. What is the difference between a fiefdom and a vassal? Well, there's a couple differences. The substantive one is going to be fiefdoms integrate territory faster. You can use vassals and subjects to integrate for you. A fiefdom is going to integrate faster than a vassal. I do believe vassals can help you generate a little bit faster your institutions, and that this can help out. But for the most part, one of the big differences is going to be that they are going to integrate faster. But for the most part, they are very, very similar, and the important thing to note is if you are creating a bunch of subjects, and you have a bunch of subjects, there is a pool which you will have country strength relative to, of all X countries versus Overlord. This operates with two different pools, so the important thing to do with fiefdoms versus vassals, or the most important thing, is to have a mix of both, because you will notice this number is different for our vassal than it is for our fiefdom, and so by splitting them, roughly speaking, even between the two, we will make it so that we can have the most loyalty between the two. Okay. Next up, how do I move my unit, or how do I move or create my market? How do I move or create a market? So what you are going to do is we would open up the market hotkey or the market map mode and then click on a market to get here to the market. You could also come in here, right, into this map mode and then click markets and then find the market you want to select. But the important thing is you need to select a market, and then you right click on this banner at the top to open the market menu, and you can relocate the market and you can delete the market. How do I get manpower and sailors? So early on, you don't really get much manpower and sailors. Early on in the game, you will only have, before you have the requisite tech, you will have access to some 3 or so buildings that will help you in this regard. For the sailors, you will have the fishing village, which will give you 1 sailor. You will also have access to the wharf, which will give you 1 sailor. For the manpower, you will only have access to the building you can build the capital, the sergeantry, which will give you 5 monthly manpower, and that's it. For the most part, if you want to get more of these, you are going to have to research texts in the Age of Renaissance that will give you access to more. Some people will have flavor related to a country, but for most countries, you will need to research armory to generate manpower, and in order to generate all but just a handful of sailors, you are going to need to research docks within the banking tech, and so that is going to be on over here, which will give you per level 14 sailors. I think it's 10 manpower per level of the armory as well. Just hover that over there quick and see that it is going to be 10 manpower. Why are my estates rebelling? Why is their satisfaction low? What's going on? Rebels, oh no. Okay, so rebels are often caused by you having low population satisfaction. If it gets below a certain level, you will spawn rebels. These pops satisfaction by 2x are informed by the satisfaction of your estates. So we see here the nobility estate is upset, which is pulling down our pop satisfaction by 11% here. There's 2 things that make your pops really, really upset that you might not notice are making your pops really upset, and those things are, if you give out privileges, what it's going to do, you notice here, this pop-up that we ignored, it is going to give happy points to the estate we're giving it out to, and it's going to make every other estate pissed. If we give out several things to the nobles here, we will very quickly make our other estates very upset. And you can also really do this, you will tend to, when you do this, make the nobles really, really, really pissed. Because whichever estate is most powerful, which tends to be the nobles, is the one you upset most when you do this. But secondarily, this also happens with Parliament. When we click this button, we will make all the other estates upset. When we click on an agenda of the nobility estate, the other ones will get upset, or at least if they're in Parliament. It is the same way where the most powerful estates will get more upset. So since the nobles are powerful here, they will get more upset when we click the button. If we click all the buttons that are not burgers, you can see that we can make our burgers very upset. That's not our burger thing. Generally speaking, their satisfaction also recovers quite slowly. You can see that it's 1.2, but that 1.0, that portion is because of Parliament. Normally, you just recover at this 0.2. So you can very, very quickly get yourself into holes. Once Parliament's not in session, we'll only be gaining 0.2. And now, if we come and look at the satisfaction map mode, I think we might need to unpause to see it all. But if we take a look at the satisfaction specifically of Eddie Burger, they are going to be really, really big pissed because the burghers themselves are really, really big pissed. And so this is the easiest way to accidentally spike a rebellion, is clicking too many buttons as it relates to privileges or parliaments. Next up, how do we convert pops? Why are our conversions not going? What's going on? So a huge throttle of your conversion is going to be control. If you take a look at locations, you can click on the demography tab and you can see how much conversion is happening. First of all, baseline conversion is not that great. Second of all, if we have lack of control, it's going to give minus X% equal to 1 minus the control we have. And so this is going to be really, really high in low control areas, so you won't assimilate that much, even if you're using the cabinet action. The cabinet action is a pretty good way of doing it, but we are not going to be able to do it very well if these pops are going to be or if these locations are going to have relatively low control. So here, in this location of Gors, we will not be able to assimilate very well at all, even if we use the cabinet action, because hey, we're getting minus 100% from lack of control. Also, if you're playing Ottoman specifically, what's going to happen is you are going to have an estate privilege that is going to not allow you to change very easy. And so if we take a look, we can swap on over to the Ottomans, and we can show you that privilege. Also, this is the case with several Muslim nations, that they will have something that will be doing this, and if we go to this, we should be able to find it. Wait, excuse me? Did this guy flip religion? The Venetian Catholic Ottomans. Well, that's not normal, but take my word for it, there is a demi-estate privilege that does do it. Let's find one that is going to be not flipping Catholic. The Mamluks will also have it. You will also have other privileges that specifically protect them, but the one we are thinking of is Abrahamic communities. I've seen this question a lot. I can't convert anyone. What's going on? And a lot of times they're playing the Ottomans, and so this is going to be the privilege. If you want to start converting, you can revoke this privilege. Also, for each estate, there is protected faith of X people, and sometimes you will have this in, and this is why you are not converting. How do we generate maritime presence? Why are my patrol guys not actually patrolling? What's going on here? Well, you will need to want to set them on patrol. We're going to group all these guys up, and when you set them on the patrol route, it will look like they just sit in one place. And you will say, hey, why are they not patrolling? Well, what they are doing is they are patrolling. It just doesn't look like it. And so if we take a look here, what they will do when they patrol is they will pick the place that is closest to the capital, and by place, I mean the province. There are sea provinces. You can see this guy is in the Levantine Sea, which consists of 4 sea zone locations. They will sit in the sea zone until they raise the maritime presence there, all the way up to 100. Now this has a natural decay, and so this might take a while, and since we have all the locations here selected, they will sit there until all the locations get to 100, and you can see we're moving at 0.19. It takes a whole lot of boats to be able to push a whole lot of maritime presence, and so it might feel like they're not doing anything because they're not moving around. They are. You have to open up the maritime presence map mode to get a feel for what's going on, and also this is going to be very important for propagating any amount of control through the ocean, and that's control by gaining proximity here. And so this is going to be useful for you to track. It's a very important thing. And so you can see here, for example, we are gaining we are gaining access through the sea. We are traveling through this sea zone, and part of this, we are getting a huge discount. At base, it's 30, but it's multiplied by 0.21 because we have maritime presence here, and so it is going to be useful to go for. Another thing is, where has my buttons gone for my international organization? What's going on with this? Well, you can right-click to empty control groups. Yeah, and then you can also find your international organizations by going to the diplomacy panel, going to the relations, and then going to organizations. Now you can see them all. And so if we wanted to, for example, track the HRE, we could pin the HRE into the outliner, but also we could click on it and we could click Control 1, and now it will be on the control group. So Control, and then the button will assign to a control group. So if we wanted to follow the Tartar yoke, for whatever reason as the Mamluks, we could assign a Control 3, and then we could click 3, and it would pull up the Tartar yoke 1 to go back to the HRE. Next up, how do I make a town? How do I upgrade a thing to a town? You come into the location tab. It doesn't matter whether you're on infrastructure or what have you, and you're going to hover the location here. This is a button. If you left click it, it will upgrade it to a town. If you right click it, it will downgrade it from a urban location, either town or city, to a rural location. Takes 100 gold to downgrade, nothing to download the game if you've already purchased it, and then if you left click, it will upgrade, and it will be expensive and this type of thing, and you have to pay. We have grayed out government reforms. Why is that? Why can't I slot them in? If they're grayed out, it means they have a requirement here. You have to have a certain amount of progress towards national values to be able to go to those. Another thing that this isn't a frequently asked question, but maybe it should be, is, let's split this guy up. All these units, sometimes they're all scattered around and they're difficult to kind of keep up, and it's what's going on. They're all split up. We want to select all of our units. Okay, we obviously can do this, but now we're selecting the army. Something else we could do is we could come in here, and if you right click, you will select your entire navy. If we click on this unit and we right click on the diamond here, we will select everything. You can also, incidentally, disband all the levies from here by right-clicking. And this can be easy. You can also disband all the levies by right-clicking over here to disband all levies. And then also, how do I core a province? What goes on? How's this work? So core provinces will give plus 20 max control, which is important. In order to core a province, you must first integrate it. If you have a place that you have conquered and is not yet integrated, it will be a conquered settlement, and it will get minus 10 max control. Big penalty. You generally integrate it. It can take a long time if you just wait to integrate it, or you can use the cabinet action as the AI Mamluks are doing here, in which case it moves a lot faster. Once it is integrated, which you can see we have here in this region, what you will need to do is you will need to make the culture there. If we could take the demography tab, we could take a look at all the cultures there. Over 50% has to be either your primary culture or has to be an accepted culture. If we see here and go to the cultures in the location map mode, we see that it is mostly Hijazi here. So in order to accept the culture, we are going to be jumping in to the culture interface here, and we are just going to sort by most populous, and we don't see Hijazi. There's Hijazi. We don't meet the requirements for coring it because we need to have more Hijazi people in this place. So what we're going to do is we're just going to release a subject really quick in order to highlight this, and we're going to make a custom subject, and we're just going to release a bunch of land. Doesn't matter what we do. The point is we're trying to decrease our population here so that we can demonstrate a cored place. We're going to hand them some stuff. Incidentally, this is how you give your subjects location, and subjects will integrate territory for you, and then you can just diplo-annex them, and this is a very powerful way of going about things. But the point is now we have handed away most of our population that is not Hijazi, so this will go up from 1% to, hey, 2.5%. Now what we will do is we are going to make them accepted, and then we're going to take a look at the integration map mode. When the month tick passes, these guys will be cored up and they will be ready to go. They're all cored up. And so you will want to either accept the culture or use a cabinet action for assimilating them in order to gain a core. And so I do believe it's going to be change, there's one that integrates people. I don't know if it's called assimilate pops into our culture. There's this one. Lower Egyptian, we could do that here and assimilate the pops here. But this has been kind of the FAQs, the frequently asked questions we have been asked in the first day and a half. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you haven't purchased the game yet and you want to purchase the game using our code, it is generalist in all caps. If you buy off of the Paradox web store, it doesn't give you a discount, but it sends 12% of the sale our way, so it's a good way to support the channel at no additional cost to yourself. But other than all that, I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye now.